Hey everyone! Before we dive in, a huge shout out to Ucupaint, the developer of Ucupaint. This add-on is a total game changer, letting me focus entirely on texturing without the hassle of setting up nodes. It's an absolute lifesaver, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for a simple, node-free workflow. If you don't have the add-on yet, it's super simple. I've put a link in the description. Just head to the page, scroll down to the bottom, and you can drag and drop the file directly into Blender. It's one of my favorite features of Blender, no need to download it first. In this video, I'll show you how I used Ucupaint to texture Minato's Kunai. It was the perfect add-on for what I wanted to achieve. Quick heads up, I'm not a pro. I'm just a 3D enthusiast figuring things out as I go. So, think of this less as a tutorial and more of a creative journey. Alright, enough with the talking, let's get to it. The first step in my process is creating the base metal material. I find that using images to introduce color variation is the fastest and most effective way to achieve a realistic look. This method leverages the natural imperfections already present in a real-world image, which I believe is far superior to trying to painstakingly replicate them with multiple masks and color layers. I use this as a solid foundation and build on it from there. For this project, I've added 2 colors to establish the overall feel and direction. A key insight I've learned about texturing metal is to always start with a lighter color than the final one you intend to use. If you start too dark, the material will absorb more light, resulting in a significantly darker final texture. Just a little note to help you avoid a common pitfall. Texturing is all about trial and error. Sometimes you just have to experiment to find what works. It's all about building up these layers. Each one adds a new bit of character. I like to start with a bright red color so the edges really pop, which makes it easy to see what I'm doing. As you can see, I've added a color ramp node to the edge mask to fine-tune the contrast. Now, I'm just going through a few blending modes to see which one gives me the best result. Don't forget to play with the opacity to get the blend just right. I'm fine-tuning the color here to make sure it matches the desired look. I'm just giving the model a quick spin here to make sure all the details and textures are looking good. Sometimes the best ideas come from simply looking at a reference photo and trying to mimic what you see. It's a fantastic way to train your eye and discover new techniques. You might notice a subtle scratch, a specific kind of wear and tear, or a unique color variation that you wouldn't have thought of on your own. It's not about being a perfect copy, but about understanding and recreating those small, realistic details that make a model feel authentic. Now that we've finished the metal, let's move on to the wood material. Choosing the right textures is crucial because they're what give an object its sense of reality and character. Without a good texture, a model can look flat and uninteresting. A great texture, however, can tell a story about the object. Is the wood old and weathered, or is it new and polished? The texture we pick here will define the entire look and feel of the kunai's handle. I've grabbed two different wood textures that aren't seamless, just to get a feel for them. This lets me decide which one I like most before doing any extra work. I'm now moving over to Krita to make these wood textures seamless, which is essential for tiling them in Blender without visible edges. These particular images were generated using Gemini's AI, which I highly recommend for anyone who needs to quickly generate unique textures for their work. It's a powerful and easy-to-use tool for this kind of task. I've duplicated the original image and mirrored it horizontally. Now, I'm using a soft brush to carefully erase half of the duplicated layer, which will help us blend the two sides together. If you're interested in a more in-depth guide, I have a dedicated tutorial on creating seamless textures in Krita, and I'll link that in the description below. Alright, time for a little magic trick with the clone brush. I'm using this tool to carefully paint over those lines where the two sides of the image meet. By cloning parts of the texture that already look good, I can completely hide the seam and make the texture look totally seamless. Now I'm just repeating the same process with this second image. I went ahead and made a normal map, just as a backup in case we want to add more texture later on. By the way, I want to mention that Krita is an excellent open source tool. I use it all the time and I love it. The fact that it's completely free but has the power of a professional art program makes it an essential part of my workflow. It's a game changer for anyone doing this kind of work without a budget for expensive software. Now that we're back in Blender, I'm going to take the wood texture we just made seamless in Krita and tile it on the model. This will give us a much larger, continuous texture without any visible seams. Alright, now for the fun part, I'm going to throw a color ramp node on this wood texture to completely change its color. This is way easier than going back and editing the image itself. I can just pick a new color on the ramp, slide it around, and instantly get the perfect shade without any extra hassle. It's a quick and powerful way to get the look I'm after. I'm now carefully adjusting the color with my color ramp node. I'm actively comparing the model's texture to my reference image, trying to match the specific hues, saturation, and brightness. This is a critical step to ensure the final result is consistent with the look I'm aiming for. I'm focusing on getting the subtle color variations right, not just the overall tone. I'm making some slight adjustments here because I never believe in setting something once and walking away. To me, texturing is a constant process of balancing all the different images, colors, and effects until they work together perfectly. It's about letting the whole piece come together, not just focusing on one part at a time. Alright, now it's time to add a bit more detail with a stencil. I'll be using this text I made in Krita. I always like to prep all my stuff, like stencils, textures, and alphas, before I even start texturing the model. It's just my personal workflow. I find that it keeps everything moving smoothly. This way, I can dive into the fun part of painting without any interruptions. I'm satisfied with the placement of the text on the kunai. It looks just right. I'll be using this black and white image as a mask. I'm enabling the bump channel on this texture to create a sense of depth, which will make the text appear as if it's been physically engraved into the metal. To give it a more natural and less computer-generated look, I'll then apply a slight blur to the mask. This helps soften the edges of the engraving, making it blend more realistically with the rest of the kunai's surface. I'm now adjusting the color of the text. I'm deliberately avoiding pure black because it can look flat and uninteresting. Instead, I'm adding a touch of brown to create a more visually appealing and realistic tone. A good rule of thumb to remember is to always avoid pure black and pure white when texturing a model. In the real world, nothing is ever truly 100% black or 100% white, they always have subtle hints of other colors or light, and this small adjustment helps capture that realism. I always make sure to zoom out and rotate around the model. It's a great habit to get into because it helps you spot any inconsistencies or issues that you might miss when you're zoomed in on the details. Remember, there's no single, right way to texture a model. Find what works for you. This is a great example of why add-ons like Ucupaint are so helpful. They let you skip all the repetitive, technical stuff and jump straight to the creative work. Instead of spending time building a complex node tree from scratch, you can focus on what really matters, the texturing itself. That's a wrap on this one, folks. I hope you had fun following along. If you did, a like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. It helps the channel grow, and it lets me know you want to see more. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next video.